MSW Media.
Hello, and welcome to a special episode of the Martin Sheen Podcast with yours truly, Martin Sheen, of course, and my favorite daughter and producer, Renee Estevez.
Hello.
That's enough. And our favorite sound engineer, Bruce Greenspan.
Hi there.
We met at this mic and had a brief but revealing conversation to answer the burning question, whose idea was it for me to do a podcast? Yeah, I may not be sharing a personal story or reciting a poem in this episode, but I will be getting to the bottom of who's to blame for starting this podcast. Seriously, though, the premise of this podcast has evolved in leaps and bounds since we began, and a lot goes into the production as well. So, we thought it might be interesting for our listeners to hear us share a little of our behind-the-scenes journey. And so, friends, let us begin. So, you know what? Can I segue a little bit into
Please.
this podcast? Because it would not exist without you and Bruce, who happen to be neighbors, of course. But I had no interest in doing a podcast at all.
I know, and I sometimes wonder if you even do now.
Oh, sorry.
I'm just kidding. You're a busy man.
I'm a busy man.
You are a busy man, and I've asked a lot of you to share your stories. You write them.
Yeah.
You write every word.
Yeah.
I edit every word, but you write it, and you really pour yourself into these stories.
Yeah.
And I'm on the other side doing all, the nuts and bolts and the stuff,
Bruce
bringing
are doing
it
the
to,
editing, and then you put music to the final cut.
Yeah, but I mean, it wouldn't exist without what you're doing.
Well, go back to your encouraging me to do it in the first place, because as I said, I didn't have any interest in doing it. I had never listened to anyone's podcast. I didn't even know what a podcast was.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about what you wanted to do.
It was but actually though, Pop, my idea was that you would come to do the podcast. We would be predominantly interviews.
Yeah.
It would take that onus off of you having to write stories, and you would talk about your career, and you would interview people you had worked with, who are many. I mean, we could do another 100 podcasts, and you could talk to a person every single podcast for 100 more episodes where you had worked with that person.
Is that how it started?
Well, that was my vision.
Yeah.
And I remember we even spoke to a couple pod platforms that wanted to produce us and said, hey, I think you ought to do this whole West Wing thing and just talk to the West Wing people and interview them and talk about West Wing. And I said, well, that'll be one part of it. I said, but I want to look at your life in totality and your relationship with the people you've worked with, and have the two of you sit across from each other and share the story of that job or
but
that
how did
experience.
You know how to do a podcast?
I didn't. I had no idea.
That is the most fascinating and most incredible story, is how you discovered how to do it on your own and how you went about it without any body taking you by the hand. It's like you found ways and means to do it, and you're still doing that. And so just share a little bit about what lies behind your being the producer of this show.
Well, there were two huge factors, which were, I thought we would find somebody to produce us and pay for the show and
I did too.
Take us under their wing. But everybody we kept talking with, they were railroading you into a West Wing podcast.
But that was after we started recording.
Well, you wanted to share poetry.
It started, because it came as it was originally called Poetic Justice.
Yeah.
And it was about poetry.
But we weren't allowed to use that name because somebody already had it.
My idea was we do the interviews.
Yeah.
And let that be the bulk of it. Then you said you wanted to do poetry. Right. And I was like, okay, so we're going to do an hour-long podcast.
Oh, no.
And it's all poetry. And you want classical music. Okay, so we started there.
Right.
And we started recording poems. And we started working in Surfrider Studios Surfrider Sound, your studio,
Yes, thank
Bruce.
you. My living room.
Yes, your living room. You tasked me with getting fanfare for the common man.
Getting the rights for it.
Yeah. And that took me down a rabbit hole for a couple of weeks. Yeah.
But demonstrated what we could do. And then you just started coming over and recorded poem after poem after poem, things that you were interested in and reading. And you'd come in with a stack of books and loosely, I mean, just like you were going to college and, studying for your LSATs. And
I would sit on the couch next to Gracie,
our
studio mascot, who's no longer with us. And
she's still a blessing.
She would start snoring so loud.
In perfect pentameter.
I would have to sit next to her and shake her all the time to keep her awake so she wouldn't snore during your takes of each poem. But so we started doing the poetry, and then I started realizing, how the heck are we going to fill an hour of podcast with poetry, particularly when they were coming out to be a minute and a half, even with a bio and an obit to the author. And also there was lots of other stuff on peripheral that we had to start looking at. And then I started realizing that we started recording the poetry, and we talked to a couple people to produce us. And again, not a single one of them asked you what you wanted to do. Yeah. Everybody said, I think you should do this. And it was all West Wing centric. And I felt really strongly at the time, like, wait a minute, they kind of already got their due, and you're still beloved for that. But I want to show you moving into a new phase in your life. I want to show that you are doing something that is
old age.
It's just kind of you're enjoying a new side. Yeah. So I started looking into it, and I realized that if we went with somebody else, not only would they produce us, they would own it.
Yeah, that was a concern. Yeah.
I ultimately wanted you to own your own feed, first of all, so that no matter what happened with this project that was starting out, it would always be in your control and in your ownership. And that was really important to me. So that's when I started my own corporation.
Yeah.
I incorporated. I learned all the rules. I worked with lawyers. I got contracts done. I have a contract with you too. Yes, and one of these days you're going to get paid. But just not this season, okay? Sorry,
Okay. Yeah.
All the money is in the podcast. It really is.
Yeah.
And the joy of being free to produce the show we wanted to do is now, I think, one of the best parts of this. Yeah. So it started progressing. We were told by numerous people, you're never going to get the name Poetic Justice. You're going to be drowning in a sea of other titles called Poetic Justice. Right. It's always going to be the bane of your show. And that's when I was like, let's just call it the Martin Sheen podcast. Let's lean into our strengths here.
The simplest things.
And then you came to tell stories.
But before telling stories, you were instinctively, you'd be doing poetry, and it would remind you of something. And you would just start talking to us. You start telling a story. And, as an engineer, if Martin's talking, I'm recording. It's, tape is cheap. And that eventually became, the open mic segment. We've got a story here about Joe Papp. We've got a story here about
Charles Lawton.
Charles Lawton. And they became
fabulous stories.
And then with that, you said, well, let me write this story. And you started writing your story. So this is like your memoirs.
Somewhat,
it's
they're beautiful.
I love how this podcast evolved.
Me too.
Through itself. It's like you just
by doing it. It created
no idea
a
what
life
an
and an
episode would
energy.
Oh my God.
But it wouldn't have been possible without the two of you. But in large measure, you're embracing the responsibility, Renee, of actually doing it, because you did all the work that I didn't have a clue you were doing.
She learned how to become a network.
Yeah,
she's a network.
Yeah.
And
we
she's
do kind of have our own little media network now.
Yeah.
And it's still stuff I'm learning every day. I spent most of last weekend to make my own clips for all your socials.
Really?
Yeah. For all the Martin Sheen podcast socials. Yeah. And that's been a real eye-opener for me. And I'm loving learning how to do it. I just wish it didn't take me forever. So I don't want to work with anybody who we work with on this and not kind of have an idea of what they do and how they do it. Bruce, what you do is still a mystery to me. Sorry. Don't worry, you've got job security. You completely do. But everything else, I really want to learn how to do it. Yeah. And I have a small idea about most of it, but mostly I love producing the show. Yeah. It's like when we finish the shows and we put it in the feed, that is the joy part of this, the absolute fun. When I'm working with Bruce and we're laying the music in till we find the right music and it just comes together. And then, you edit it, these beautiful takes, and it happens. And then we're there, and then you put it together and we listen back to it. We're like, yes, this is what I love.
It's wonderful.
Doing all the other stuff can be a little daunting. It's like, okay, that's part of it. We do a great show. We want people to hear it. And I do it so wholeheartedly because I so believe in this project. I believe in its authenticity. I believe that it is such a real slice of sharing and a journey and a personal journey, which is yours, which is so relatable on so many levels, that you write a story that I can see it. I'm there with you and I feel it.
Wow.
That's what happens.
Yeah. I'm reminding people that the story actually happened in the last century.
Yeah.
Yes,
but
sure.
the thing is, these are universal themes. And yes, there are moments when, okay, it did happen at a time where maybe most kids or most 20-year-olds or 30-year-olds nowadays maybe couldn't have that experience, but they can still feel that way.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They can still feel those emotions are nothing new, And I feel so strong when I say that it's what it is, that your podcast really is what it is to be human. Yeah. That's what it's about. And going there 100%. I never feel like when you get to the end of a story, I've got like half of you. You did it 100%. You bring your A game every time. And that's why this is a joy to do.
Because you don't settle for anything less.
Okay.
We're going to take a brief pause now, but please don't go away. There's a lot more to come. Welcome back. I'm so glad you stayed. And I also want to say how grateful I am and how much I appreciate your coming to the mic with your story. Because you had written a story about me, and we were able to include it in Our Fathers. So an episode in the last season.
What a great story, too.
It is a great story.
Thank you too.
I was telling a story about my father, and you reminded me about myself and you as a child. So it was a perfect episode. And I've had a lot of great comment on it. So my question to you is, are you going to continue to contribute
I'll share
on
another
the mic?
Story. I don't want to step on your toes. This is your moment. This is your show. And I don't want to.
I'll remind you that there is no show without you.
I know,
and Bruce.
But trust me, I'm everywhere. I'm in your website. I'm in your socials. I'm yakking at the mic in the background. I've inserted myself everywhere.
Thank God.
But when it comes to your stories, they are unique and genuine and these gems. And I like to step back and not encroach on that. Yes, I'll come to the mic and I will definitely share another story. They'll be few and far between because season 3, it is so beautifully laden with your stories. That is all front loaded.
Yeah, they're great.
I love that. Yeah.
Oh,
well, this can be in the third season.
Oh,
but no, we're talking about a 4th season because the 3rd is pretty complete, isn't it?
Almost, yeah.
So we need to focus on the 4th season.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you, because we haven't...
What are you reading? What do you got? What are you reading? What are you reading?
So many folks are starting to find our podcast. And let me just ask you, because we've talked a little about this, but not specifically. And that is, what is the future?
The future.
Of this podcast?
Well, obviously, what we're doing is a lovely radio show.
Yeah.
That, I think, is the crux. That is the cornerstone of this podcast. And I love doing that. And I would love to continue to do that.
Okay.
But
I also want to mention how difficult it is sometimes to get the rights to sound. How many poets have we recorded that we are not able to put on the air because we can't get the rights?
You know what? There's only 2.
2 right now.
There are 2. Well,
She's worked very,
I
very
want you to
diligently.
expose these poets. Expose them now, Renee.
I live in
this
hope.
is your opportunity.
I literally
Go to
wake up
Bukowski.
every morning and make coffee and live in hope that Bukowski will make it to our podcast.
Say that again.
You have
His
no
first and last name.
Charles Bukowski.
Charlie.
God bless his soul. Like his poetry, and God rest him. And I think those poems are wonderful to offer to a modern audience.
Yeah. And what is the other poet?
Who was it? C.S. Lewis.
C.S. Lewis.
As the Ruin Falls.
Yeah.
Falls within a
But
category.
what about T.S.
of,
Eliot? We've recorded him, and he hasn't appeared.
No, we haven't yet. The Hollow Man is a really intense poem.
We recorded it, didn't we?
We have.
Yeah.
And it is to music. I tell you quite honestly, I have not found the right place for it yet.
But we got the rights to T.S. Eliot?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, we got
So-
T.S. Eliot. We got the rights to The Hollow Man.
Okay.
We got the rights to everything else we've done.
Everything else we've
it's
done
those-
except Bukowski and C.S.
didn't have-
Lewis. Those are the
Wow.
only 2
Yeah,
authors.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. One of the things that I've always loved doing was your idea to give a brief chronology of the writer and
Was it?
and their most well-known works, and telling when they were born and where they died. And
This might be something interesting for your listeners to know. I do write the bio bits.
yes,
I really do. So whatever you hear in it is the things that I find interesting.
yeah, I do too.
And I do tend to find things that are very rebel about a poet or an author, or that they lived an alternative life, or, that they were a much broader person than was previously known.
Yeah.
I love it when we find things about women poets who are very courageous, or women authors, and they really had to blaze a new trail. I love putting bits like that into the bio obit section that we affectionately call the bio bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I hope that when you read them, it interests you too.
very much so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That people are getting a good heavy dose of what interests me.
Yeah. I often wonder if we have a value for young people these days, because there is not a whole lot of value put on reading or poetry. And the fact that we are essentially a radio program, they are called to use their imaginations more and more.
No
And
visual.
No visual. And I was raised on the radio, so that is my intent really, is to have young people hear what I heard growing up, and was encouraged to use my imagination.
Well, I think that's why we really put it together as a show, as a presentation.
Yeah.
And it's just this beautiful little 18 minutes, 18, 19, 20 minutes sometimes. It's just to pop in, take a moment, relax, maybe learn something new, maybe tune out, maybe enjoy visual. But without the visual, I think it sparks your imagination to see it
more. Yeah,
better.
for sure. Yeah.
And I'm not just, rationalizing that we don't have it on camera. I really think it does. I think that is the beauty of it. If we were to put together some odd little cartoon of you dressed in, in your winter best, taking a bus with your dad, I think it could be distracting. But anyway, so you're enjoying this podcast.
Very much so.
And I got that. I now have that at the mic, so you cannot. Yeah, we got that forever. Okay.
All right.
And sorry to be so long-winded about all this.
Well, my hope is that we can continue with the level of quality, because that's what's...
Oh, that's all on you.
Well, that's all.
Just kidding.
And
I'm
the
just
choices,
kidding.
because I use this phrase as we used to use it in the 50s, but it's a family show.
Yeah.
There's youngsters can listen to us without feeling embarrassed or learning new words that are not appropriate for youngsters.
Your granddaughter, my niece, Cassandra, said to me the other day, she said, I can have your show on in the car and know it's totally fine.
Yeah.
Where all my 3 girls are in the car, ages, 8 and 11.
Yeah.
And I can, be in the middle of a commute and I don't have to listen to something that is completely child-centric. Just to make everybody in the car happy. And so she says, I feel so safe when I put your show on.
Oh, I'm glad
so
to
I was
hear
like,
that.
yay,
Yeah.
thank you.
All right.
And it's genuine.
Yeah.
And even subconsciously, people connect with genuine.
Yeah. You don't read a poem. You don't read a story. You tell a story.
Oh, wow.
You enact a poem in all its beauty.
I wish it didn't take so long to write those stories, because that is what takes so much time and energy. I'm very scrupulous about the content of the story to begin, but I also decided to write them because I didn't want to just take notes and improvise on it, because I wanted the audience to feel that this was prepared, that this has a beginning, a middle, and an end, and that it is personal.
Yeah.
Because I believe if something's not personal on this level, then it's impersonal. If it's impersonal, who cares? But so I do it because I cannot not do it and do it, you know?
Well, can I just tell you, once you put that time and energy and effort into it, and then Bruce gets a hold of it and does this beautiful sound editing.
Yeah.
And it's seamless, and it's, but anyway,
So,
just it's there. So anyway,
right.
I'll let you go.
I'll let you go.
Are these proceedings concluded?
These proceedings
That's what you love to
are
say.
concluded. And thank you so much.
Okay,
Renee.
let's
Thank you,
record one
Bruce.
now. No,
Okay.
I hope you've enjoyed this special episode with Renee and Bruce, and I encourage you to check out our regular show at themartinsheenpodcast.com or wherever you find your podcast. Yep, my producer says I still got to say that, even on a special episode. I want to thank the people who make this possible, those two windbags you've just heard talking for the last 20 minutes, Renee and Bruce, and I especially want to thank you, our listeners, for joining us. And so, friends, we part with a poem that Renee chose for this episode, The Age Demanded by Ernest Hemingway. The age demanded that we sing and cut away our tongue. The age demanded that we flow and hammered in the bung. The age demanded that we dance and jammed us into iron pants. And in the end, the age was handed the sort of that it demanded. Sorry, I didn't see that ending coming. Renee!
The Martin Sheen Podcast, all rights reserved. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, distributed, or transmitted in any form without prior written consent of the author and TE Productions.